Thousands of viewers are tuning into Season 5 of The Crown after the much-anticipated Netflix hit dropped in Australia on Wednesday night. It's no surprise there's a lot of hype around it, with a clear focus on Princess Diana's marriage breakdown with the then Prince Charles.
But with younger fans having no first-hand memories of real-life events, royal experts are concerned the TV show will influence their views on the monarchy. So what's fact and fiction on the show, and will it affect the King's reputation in the long run?
For more, we're joined by journalist and royal commentator Angela Mollard. Ange, morning to you.
Ange.
Let's break this down. The Crown has long been a pretty sensitive topic for the monarchy. What's been the response so far from the palace?
Well, they have never said anything about the Crown, Matt. They've never deigned to comment on it because their feeling is that it would give it more publicity and also give it credibility. I think that would have been a much more difficult conversation with the new communications secretary that Charles and Camilla have hired, because this time what happens on the show directly influences our opinion of our current king. A lot of the material around the Queen was historical, but the King hasn't even gone through his coronation yet. And in the very first episode of this season of The Crown, he's being positioned as a man who was trying to overthrow his mother by speaking to the then British Prime Minister, John Major. Now, John Major has come out and denied that this ever happened and said it's basically fictitious nonsense. But nevertheless, younger viewers really, I've spoken to lots of younger viewers, including my daughters, who think that this is true. These things absolutely happened, which is why the series has had to put a disclaimer that this is fictionalised.
Yeah, it's because it's so good.
Yeah,
That's why
exactly.
It's so good.
It's utterly compelling.
Absolutely compelling. So you guys, should the palace say something?
You know what? I was thinking about this.
Or do you let John Major do the talking for you?
You let John Major,
Yeah.
other people like Judi Dench, very high-profile actors. In fact, the actor who played, Josh O'Connor, who played the original Charles, he refused to do the tampon gate scene. He had it written into his contract. Apparently, that scene is portrayed, you know, very benignly in this series. But look,
it's one of the things that we do know to be true.
It is. We do know it to be true, and that's one of the few things. There's things in here that are not true. The Queen, for instance, and the Queen has just died, and she's being positioned as somebody who was grasping and trying to get the then Prime Minister to pay for the royal yacht. Now, I know as a reporter in Britain in the 90s that she allowed that yacht to be decommissioned because it was too expensive for the royal family. So there are not so much lies, but definitely mistruths in this series.
And I want to ask you about we're getting closer to the release of Prince Harry's tell-all book. What's your view on how this is going to put further strain, I guess, on his relationship with the family?
This is going to be huge, Matt. This is the first book in 30 years that is going to be as sensationalist as Diana, Her True Story. It's written with J.R. Mowring, and I think we need to remember that. He wrote Andre Agassi's book. He's a Pulitzer Prize-winning author. And the significance of that is that's going to elevate Harry's words. It's going to be very well written. It's going to be very convincing and very believable. Of course, Harry hasn't exactly written it himself, but the big problem is going to be what Harry says, particularly about Camilla. This is before the coronation, and I think if we see in that book some terrible things said about Camilla, he will not be at that. Harry will not be at that coronation.
Let's move on. Mike Tindall, he's married to the King's niece, Sarah Phillips. He's in Australia right now filming a reality TV show. I think we've got a clip of it.
Yeah, we have.
Let's have a look.
First actual date. We just went out for lunch locally. And ended up being quite a boozy one.
Being quite what?
Boozy one. And then we figured out that we both quite like getting smashed, so it was a good start.
Yeah, see, it's interesting. There's a lot of scandal around whether or not he should be allowed to appear on this series. This is the British version of I'm a Celebrity. He was talking there about meeting Zara, and lovely details about the fact they actually met in Australia at the Manly Wharf Bar Hotel after he was kicked out of a game. But, you know, we know he was a former English rugby international. Look, there's been lots of consternation behind the scenes with the royal family about whether members of the royal family should appear in these sorts of shows. I mean, he was saying there that he and Zara, you know, had a commonality about getting smashed together, and she's of course the royal rebel by having a piercing in her tongue and getting done for speeding. But I think you know, they have to earn money. There are now working royals and there are non-working royals, and he's a non-working, you know, he's not paid by the royal family, so he's getting a six-figure sum, and his justification is, I need to earn a living to look after my 3 children. So it'd be interesting to see where I don't think he'll talk too much about the royal family.
Very interesting. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Anne. There'll be more headlines there for sure.